Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Checking in on the Canadian MJ space, we'll do the USMJ video sometime tomorrow. So we had the oversold bounces and we knew they were weak. They were not showing us much strength. There are a couple names that are standing out comparative to the rest of the grouping, but the group as a whole is weak. This bounce has done nothing to shift momentum at this point. And I made one trade today and I made $0 today and I made a good trade in my opinion. So I'll go over that. And that was just capital preservation. So let's do that first. CGC, 5-minute time frame starting the day. We pulled back, we hit the low of the day, and we started to bounce. And said, the S&P 500 is pulling back right now. Pretty much inverse to what CGC is doing. I like the odds that when the S&P 500 looks for a 5-minute oversold bounce, that we're going to be looking for that to only help the bulls. That shows me a bullish correlation between CGC and SPY. For so long, it's been a bearish correlation for the majority of the time, but correlations are always changing, and this morning, it was a bull-favored correlation. And let's just look at SPY real quick, and this is what SPY did first thing this morning, 15 minutes of pullback, and that's the 15 minutes that I was looking at. So 15-minute pullback while we see a new high of the day on CGC, and we have 24.75 as the most important resistance. So I made an entry based on that and that alone. I said, okay, I know what the resistance is. I know what the 4-hour time frame looks like. I know we have to see continuation for the 4-hour trend to change. So I made an entry with a smaller position than what I was trading on the dump when we were extremely oversold. But I entered it 24.45 or so. And at that point, my stop was going to be under the low of the day. If I got stopped out, it would be less than a day loser. And my target to sell, if we broke 24.75, I would have a day maker or better. So I made my entry. We did see the S&P 500 bounce a little bit. And this candlestick is what showed up when the S&P 500 started bouncing. So I'm sitting there saying, all right, this is going exactly as I had hoped. And things are looking good. We then saw the clear rejection from the high of yesterday, 24.75. And I said, all right, as soon as I saw that, I said, stop loss break even. Now, normally I want to put my stop losses based off of a clear support level. In this instance, it was just very clear. If we're in a downtrend on the daily time frame, if I'm entering a bullish trade, I'm not going to go red on a Friday trying to fight the trend when we have a double top with the high of yesterday. So I don't care if it stops me out and then we end up going back and breaking the high of the day. I'm not going to risk losing $1 at this point. As soon as that double top hit, that was where my mindset shifted. So we pulled back. I got stopped out at break even. And then I didn't give up on the trade. I said, all right, I'm going to keep watching it here. And if we do break 24.75, even though I got stopped out, I'll buy back higher. And a lot of people don't have that psychology where they can't buy back higher. And that's something we have to get over because all that matters is the risk and reward of each individual trade and setup. It doesn't matter whether you are buying higher or lower. Each individual trade should be viewed as its own individual trade. So at that point, if we had broken 24.75, I would have entered the same amount of shares. And rather than looking for a day maker at that point, I would probably have sold it for a half day maker and just looked for maybe a 20-cent move, sold just under $25, and that would have been that. Obviously, we saw a little weak bounce attempt. And then as soon as we dropped down here, I lost interest. I was no longer interested in CGC for the day, and that was that. So on the day, I made $0. I lost $0, but I think I made a good trade. And that is my mindset, keeping me positive. And that's what I always want to do, limit downside risk. And this was one where I adjusted the game plan in the middle of the trade based on new information. And it was all about the high of yesterday rejecting the price. So where do we stand on the 4-hour time frame on CGC at this point? Still weak. So we didn't change the 4-hour trend. We double topped. There's still a chance the bulls can pull it off. We have to hold 22.76 and break 24.75 for a clear 4-hour trend change. And then the daily time frame will fend off the bear flag if that happens. If not, if we drop back down to 22.76, we are looking at a bear break. S&P 500, watch that market rundown video that I am putting out with this video as well, because we have to be keeping an eye on that, because CGC can always see another leg down. Again, that's what we are reminding ourselves on any of these names. Can we go lower? We're really beat up. We've been going down for 4 months. Yes, we can always see another leg down. So if SPY pulls back to 285 or 283, CGC will very likely break 2276, which will have us looking at 22 and 21 and psychological support levels on the way down. So 2475 is the most important resistance level for me, and 2276 is the most important support. Just watching the range of the last 3 days heading into Tuesday, there's no trading Monday in both Canada and the US due to holidays, but the bears have a firm grasp on the sector still. So it's the same thing for Cron. The 4-hour trend has to change. Just a lower high compared to yesterday. The bulls have to hold 1058 and break 1139 to shift this momentum. Then we would zoom out to the daily and we would look up at 1185. If that doesn't happen, we're just looking down at 1058 and then 10 psychological support as the bears keep full control. ACB, extremely weak still. Same thing. Bulls have to hold the low of the dump and break the high of the bounce at this point. So have to hold 538 and break 567. Otherwise, bears have complete control. If we break 538, we're looking down at 5 psychological. Again, no daily trend changes on any of these names. APHA, holding on a bit better, definitely has my interest, but we have our high of 680, our low of 579, our lower high of 653. The bulls have to hold 579 and break 653 to change this daily trend. Closing at the low of the day certainly favors the bears. TLRY, bear flag already confirming. 2552 support broke. So all we did was a very weak bounce attempt, not even breaking, well, we did break the lower high pattern by 14 cents, and then just dropping down to lower lows. Bears in complete control still. And we could see it. Yesterday was our clue. This is not the bounce we're looking for. This is a very weak bounce, and that is why I exited all of CGC yesterday to be back to cash, to be ready if we do get another leg down. Not giving up on the sector, certainly not. And going to put out a video sometime in the next few weeks comparing the crypto space to the MJ space, because just talking with people in person actually about it all, realizing how much I have applied my lessons in cryptocurrency to MJ and my lessons in MJ to cryptocurrency, and how it almost looks like the cryptocurrency space right now is 3 months or 4 months fast forwarded to where the MJ space is. And that was, you know, I've been using these similarities in these sectors for 2 years at this point, with a lot of success in terms of just knowing how extreme things can get in both directions. And keep an eye out for that video at some point. OGI, back on the video. Bulls have to hold 397 and break 444 to shift momentum. And the thing is, even if we do that, we still have the daily exponential resistance, which has been rejecting the price at this point for 6 weeks. We still have a clear, you know, this isn't a trend change for me. I wouldn't argue with someone saying it was a trend change very long, because it would be a higher low and a higher high, but it is not the kind of, the trend change I want to see is a 3 or 4 day bounce, a higher low, and then a higher high. Much more clear. This is just a little dinky, weak bounce attempt, higher low, and if we do get that higher high, we'll change the 4-hour trend, we'll shift some momentum, but I'm still skeptical on the daily time frame. So just want to clarify that, you know, if we do see this little hold of support and then break the high of the bounce to this point, it's nice in the short term, but still absolutely warrants skepticism, because the bulls have to prove it, and they're not doing a good job. Burden of proof is squarely on their haunches. I think that's the right word. A bull haunch. So 4-hour exponential resistance, still rejecting the price. Hexo, weak bounce attempt. Double top up at 403, 404. Didn't get over those levels today. And at this point, the most important resistance for me on Hexo is 460. So even if we do get some more follow through, anything under 460 is just a daily lower high as far as I'm concerned. VFF. So VFF, same thing. Have to hold the low of 1005 and break 1088 to shift the momentum. Otherwise, we're just looking down at 10 psychological and then levels below it. T-God standing out. So we have been talking in the past couple of days how T-God is definitely one of the names that I have more interest in, because it is standing out, and this clear bull break on increasing bull volume and the highest volume being all bullish in 2 weeks, all notable factors. The gap to fill is 347. And then we're looking at 369. So the daily trend has changed. That is a very clear, that's the trend change I'm talking about. Clear move. And while we did break support, okay, that's not a good textbook example. Well, I'll call that a double bottom. But the point I want to make is how clear it is. Multiple days before the pivot points are hit, rather than just one little day, and then a bull move. So we're looking at 369. And look at the weekly time frame for T-God. There's our weekly high or low now set at 293. And if these bulls break 369, that is a notable weekly shift that no one else, that 95% of everybody else in the MJ sector are not seeing right now. VGW also standing out for the size of the bounce. Again, at this point, if we were going to drop down to a lower low, we would have to pull back 20%. So this is the amount of space the bulls like to see. Keeping in mind, historically speaking, we always have more information we can look at. We've seen this before, and we did give it all back. So we still have to be a bit cautious, but if we're just comparing to any other name that we looked at aside from T-God, nobody has anywhere near 20% space to hold a higher low. So when we lose the hourly uptrend, which right now the hourly higher low is 336, but when we lose the hourly uptrend, we then look for a daily higher low to have to form compared to 280. Labs is a weak bounce attempt, have to fall down and hold 426 and then break the high of the bounce to see any notable shift in momentum. Another point to make is we have to watch this hurricane, especially if you're a USMSO, which I guess this is the wrong video for that. I'll save that for the next video. And our TH. So a solid bull move. Again, I don't like it just because it's a penny stock and the daily chart's choppy. We broke support. The only good thing going for the bulls is that we broke support straight into a solid bounce. Bulls have to hold 72 and break 85 to change the daily trend. I almost like the clarity on the weekly time frame better. And pretty much if we don't break 98, the bulls aren't proving much to me on the weekly time frame. But if we wanted to zoom in, it's 85 as the first level. If we don't break 85, bulls prove absolutely nothing. And KHRN, also still very weak, have to hold 133 and break 160. And look at that brutal pullback. I was trading KHRN when we were looking for the potential of an equilibrium up here. And again, it's just such a reminder for me, man, I'm glad I stick to stop losses and I'm glad I don't fall in love with companies. Because if I didn't do either of those things, there is potential that my position could be down well over 50% right now. And I know some people watching this video, that is the case for them. But the lesson is experience. I've done it before. I've given 50% of a position away trading penny stocks back in the day, and I learned from those lessons, and I will never do that again. So there's lessons everywhere, and we have to learn from them and apply them, because if I didn't, and if I kept making those mistakes of not using stop losses and letting positions get to 50% red, I would not be a trader with any longevity in terms of doing this for years and years. So having rules and sticking to them is so important, and we establish those rules from experience and learning from mistakes. So KHRN is the same little 3-day, 4-day setup as everybody else, but as far as the size of the pullback we've seen, definitely one of the more brutal names. So that's where we stand. It's not a pretty sight yet. Again, it will be. These names will see significant bounces. What I said in the cryptocurrency space, and again, I will do a video on it eventually, but I said when we hit our bottom, wherever it is, and this was Bitcoin was dropping from 8,000, 6,000, 4,000, I said when we hit bottom, we will see 100% move very easily. And Bitcoin ended up going 400%, and Litecoin ended up going 600%. And I like to underpromise and overdeliver. We're not looking for those percentages here in the MJ space, but very confident that when the momentum shifts, a lot of names will see easy 50% moves. So that's something that's keeping me interested in this sector, because I know that's going to happen. It's just a matter of time, and it's something that I'm patiently waiting for. So in this scenario where things are so weak, and I am still playing bounces, I am going back to a clean slate as often as I can and back to all cash, because it frees me psychologically and allows me to take one day at a time. And for example, take a trade today on CGC. If I had a position that was maybe near break even or slightly red, I wouldn't be able to make that trade. I'd already be perhaps overexposed, or my mindset would be elsewhere, trying to ride that position out and not looking at each individual day as its own little opportunity. But at this point, It's the kind of thing where if this bounce played out better on CGC and it looked stronger, I would have established a position and looked for the shift to take place. So what I mean by that is I had an average, by the time this bounce started going, I had an average maybe in the low 23s, maybe 23.20, 23.30 or something like that, after getting stopped out initially from a smaller loss. But my point is, if we saw this bounce and if I was scaling out into strength, maybe I exit 2/3 of my position or half my position, and then I set my stop at break even. And if the bounce was stronger, I probably would have done that because, again, I want to expose myself to the potential opportunity of nailing the bottom before the shift takes place. But as soon as I saw what the second day looked like here yesterday, that was, okay, this is not what we're looking for, back to all cash. But my point is, we can use these short-term trading opportunities, number one, to lock in short-term gains, which is always nice. But even if just going for break-even opportunities or tiny losses, small losses, then knowing that when the shift does take place, again, it could be a month, it could be 3 months. I don't think it'll be 3 months, but that win will far offset small little losses or break-even losses and time wasted of attempting these little bounce plays. So, takeaway, it can always go lower. CGC can be under $20 in 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now. It's possible. We have to prepare for that scenario. So I appreciate you watching. Have a great weekend. Do good things out there. USMJ video, market video, commodities video. There's opportunity in the commodities space. Branch out, but don't take your eyes off the MJ space. There is absolutely opportunity to come. Thanks again. See you next time.